The forbidden symbols once used to trap demons. This story is about a set of symbols the church once allowed exorcists to use, not to remove demons, but to contain them, and why those symbols were erased after something proved containment wasn't permanent. These symbols weren't meant to scare demons away. They were meant to keep them from leaving. And when one symbol failed, the church destroyed them all. The symbols were never displayed publicly. They weren't carved into churches or written in prayer books. They were hidden etched into floors, walls, and ceilings during emergency possession cases when priests believed expulsion wasn't possible. The symbols didn't look holy. No crosses, no saints, no scripture. They were geometric, sharp, unforgiving. According to sealed church notes from the early 1700s, these markings were called signa ligatura, binding signs. Each one served a different purpose: confusion, isolation, compression. The most dangerous symbol was known only as the closed eye. It wasn't drawn to weaken a demon. It was drawn to deny awareness, to prevent whatever was present from recognizing exits, hosts, or observers. The last confirmed use occurred during a possession case involving a monk assigned to copy manuscripts late at night. Witnesses said he never screamed, never fought. He simply stopped blinking. During the ritual, priests carved the symbols into the stone floor around him, forming a circle no wider than 6 feet. The moment the final symbol was completed, the monk smiled. Not in pain, in recognition. He said calmly, "You're still using these?" That was the first warning. When the closed eye symbol was activated, the room went silent. No breathing, no movement. Even candle flames froze unnaturally still. The priests believed it worked. Until the monk spoke again. He explained that the symbols didn't trap demons. They trapped attention. Whatever was inside him, said, the symbols forced it to remain focused on a single point, unable to perceive time passing, unable to sense decay or weakness. And then it said something that ended the practice forever. "We don't need to escape if you maintain the prison for us." One priest panicked and damaged a symbol mid-ritual. The effect was immediate. The monk screamed, not in agony, but terror, as if something suddenly realized where it was. The room erupted. The candles shattered. The symbols cracked on their own, splitting the stone beneath them. When the ritual ended, the monk survived. But the symbols did not. Church officials ordered every known binding sign destroyed within weeks. Floors were replaced, walls torn down, records burned. The official reason was theological conflict. The real reason appeared in a final private report written by a Vatican observer. The symbols did not fail. They succeeded long enough to be noticed. To this day, fragments of those symbols are rumored to exist, unfinished, incomplete, abandoned. Because priests learned something too late. A trap only works until whatever is inside understands why it was built. Stories like this tend to pull people in different ways. If you're someone who's drawn to Catholic mysteries, paranormal books, holy items, or old religious craft, I keep all of that gathered in my Amazon store. Nothing you need to buy. It is just there for anyone who wants to explore further or keep something close. And supporting the channel that way helps these stories keep coming. So tell me, what do you think this really was? The Latin prayers removed from all modern exorcisms. This story is about a set of Latin prayers, once considered too effective, removed, not because they failed, but because the church discovered they were being answered by something other than God. These prayers didn't drive demons out. They made something else start listening. And once the church realized who was responding, they erased them. The prayers were never part of public ritual books. They existed only in handwritten margins, whispered from senior exorcist to apprentice, used when a possession showed signs of intelligence, when the voice didn't rage or curse, but waited. The prayers were ancient Latin, but the structure was wrong. Scholars later noticed they weren't requests. They were permissions. One removed prayer began with a phrase that roughly translated to, "You who remain when others are dismissed." It was meant to address what priests believed was the final presence, the intelligence behind the mask. The last confirmed use happened during a possession in the 1940s. Subject was a teenage boy who had survived a violent incident that left him mute for months. When he finally spoke again, it wasn't his voice, and it didn't identify itself as anything biblical. The exorcism failed repeatedly. No reaction to holy water, no response to scripture. So the lead priest made a decision against protocol. He used the removed prayer. The effect was immediate. The boy didn't scream. He inhaled sharply like someone surfacing after a long time underwater and said, "That word still works?" The room went silent. The voice explained that those prayers were never meant for demons, that they were created centuries earlier to summon acknowledgement, to force whatever governed possession to reveal itself. And it did. The voice said it wasn't trapped in the boy. It was anchored. It explained possession as a layered process permission granted over time, often unknowingly. Trauma didn't invite demons. Trauma created space. The priests attempted to interrupt. They couldn't. Every time a prayer was spoken, the voice grew clearer, calmer, more present. Then it said something that caused the ritual to end immediately. "If you finish the sequence, I will no longer need vessels." The boy collapsed. The presence vanished. He survived, but never spoke again. The Vatican ordered the prayers removed from all modern exorcisms within the year. No explanation given. The language was labeled theologically unsafe. But one final report explains the real reason. After the ritual, every priest involved began experiencing the same phenomenon. They would wake at night hearing Latin spoken perfectly, slowly, from inside their own thoughts. Not commands, corrections. One priest wrote in his journal before requesting permanent removal from exorcism duty, "These prayers do not cast out. They invite response." And something has learned how to answer without being called. The journal ends with one final line written in trembling ink. "We stopped speaking the words. It did not stop listening." So what do you believe? Were these prayers removed because they were dangerous, or because they were effective in the wrong way? When stories like this won't let me sleep, I dig deeper using the books and research tools I've linked on my Amazon page. Nothing forced, just what helped me uncover what most people never hear about. Tell me in the comments. The ritual the Vatican no longer allows this story is about a sanctioned Vatican ritual once used only when possession showed signs of spreading, then quietly erased from official doctrine after something went wrong that could never be undone. The Vatican didn't ban this ritual because it failed. They banned it because it worked too well and something answered that was never supposed to be addressed. The ritual didn't have a name anymore. In the surviving records, it's only referred to as the separation. It was not an exorcism. Exorcisms force something out. This ritual was designed to call something forward. According to sealed Vatican notes from the early 1900s, the ritual was used when a possessed individual showed signs of dual presence, when priests believed more than one intelligence was occupying the same body. The concern wasn't possession, it was contagion. The ritual required 3 priests, absolute silence, and a room stripped of all religious imagery. No crosses. No prayers spoken aloud. Only a series of rhythmic knocks on the stone floor meant to imitate a heartbeat. The possessed subject would be seated in the center and blindfolded. The purpose wasn't to expel anything. It was to separate voices. In the most documented case, a young woman was brought in after multiple priests reported hearing whispers continue even after she stopped speaking. Witnesses said the whispers sometimes came from behind them. Even when she was restrained, the ritual began. At first, nothing happened. Then the woman laughed, not hysterically, but softly, like someone relieved. She said, "You finally noticed." What followed made the priests abandon the procedure midway for the first time in recorded use. Instead of a single opposing voice emerging, 3 distinct voices began speaking, each answering different priests at the same time. One voice mocked, one begged, the third instructed. It explained that the ritual didn't separate entities from a person. It separated layers. It claimed the woman had been prepared, not invaded. That the ritual was dangerous because it stripped away restraints that were never meant to be removed by human hands. When one priest attempted to stop the knocking sequence, the woman screamed, not in pain, but panic. She shouted, "If you stop now, it stays unfinished." They stopped anyway. The blindfold was removed. The woman collapsed alive, conscious, and claiming she felt empty. The Vatican declared the ritual too unstable and officially prohibited its use. But the real reason never made it into doctrine. Within weeks, one of the priests involved began hearing the knocking in his sleep slow, steady, always stopping just before completion. He later confessed that he felt something waiting for him to finish what he interrupted. He was found dead in his room months later. No wounds, no illness. Just bruising on his palms like someone who had been knocking for hours. The remaining records were sealed. The ritual was erased. And yet, a final handwritten note was discovered decades later in the margins of an archived theological text. The danger was never the ritual. It was stopping halfway. So what do you believe? Did the Vatican ban the ritual to protect people? Or to prevent something unfinished from being completed? When stories like this don't let me rest, I dig deeper using the books and tools I've linked on my Amazon page. Nothing pushed. Just the resources that helped me uncover what shouldn't exist. Tell me in the comments, was the ritual calling something out or calling something closer? The locked chapel used only for possession cases. This story is about a sealed chapel hidden beneath an old European monastery, a room the church denied existed, used only when priests believed something had fully crossed over, and nothing else had worked. They didn't bring the possessed into the chapel. They locked the chapel around them, and once the door closed, no one was allowed to open it, even if the screaming never stopped. The first written mention of the chapel appears in a private church log dated 1897. No location is named. Just a phrase repeated 3 times in the margin. Do not open under any circumstance. According to the record, the chapel was used only when a possession had reached what priests called the irreversible stage, when the voice no longer argued, begged, or lied, but issued commands. The chapel had no altar, no crosses, no icons. Only stone walls carved with symbols older than Latin, etched so deep they couldn't be sanded down. Priests believed religious imagery provoked whatever was inside. Silence was safer. The most documented case involved a young man brought in after 4 failed exorcisms. Witnesses said his body was calm, but his shadow wasn't. It moved before he did, sometimes in the wrong direction. When they led him into the chapel, the iron door sealed automatically behind him. No lock, no handle on the inside. The ritual didn't begin with prayers. It began with waiting. For the first 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then the knocking started not from the door, but from the walls. Witnesses wrote that the sound moved in a circle, as if something was walking around him, inches beneath the stone. The man finally spoke, but it wasn't threats. He started naming people, priests, family members, children, and then dates that hadn't happened yet. One priest ran from the observation slit after hearing his own sister's name, followed by the exact day she would die. She passed 6 weeks later in an accident no one could explain. After an hour, the chanting stopped. So did the knocking. Inside the chapel, the man was found kneeling alive but unresponsive. No pulse change, no injuries. But something was wrong. The carvings in the wall cut centuries earlier were newly traced, as if fingers had followed every symbol from memory. One symbol had been added. It didn't match any known language. The chapel was sealed permanently after that case. Or so the church claimed. A final report surfaced decades later from a maintenance worker assigned to the lower levels. He said the chapel door was warm to the touch always, and that sometimes, late at night, he heard a single knock, not asking to be let out, as if counting. The worker quit without notice. He left behind one sentence written on a scrap of paper. Whatever they locked in there is still learning. So what do you think was the chapel meant to contain something, or to keep it hidden? And if stories like this pull you in, I keep the gear, books, and strange little tools I use to research these cases linked on my Amazon page. No pressure, just the things that help me dig deeper when stories like this wouldn't let me sleep. Tell me in the comments, was it possessed or possessed by design? This is the story of the secret midnight exorcisms performed by Vatican priests. They took place at midnight, behind sealed doors, because the church believed daylight made them worse. For centuries, the Vatican has performed exorcisms openly and privately. But there exists a category of rituals so sensitive that it is never scheduled, never documented in full, and never acknowledged after it ends. They are known internally as midnight cases. These exorcisms are not performed when someone asks for help. They are performed when waiting is considered dangerous. The first requirement is time. Midnight is chosen not for symbolism, but for silence. No visitors. No staff movement. No bells. Those selected are not ordinary exorcists. They are men trained to stop rituals mid-sentence if something changes. Men taught to recognize when prayer provokes instead of weakens. The subject is never told where they are. Some are blindfolded. Some are sedated. Some are not fully conscious. What unites them is this: they have already reacted violently to daytime rituals. According to sealed notes, daylight exorcisms sometimes caused escalation, screaming, physical resistance, sudden clarity followed by collapse. Midnight rituals were designed to reduce reaction. The chamber used for these rites is never the same twice. Sometimes a crypt, sometimes a converted archive room, sometimes a space not listed on any modern floor plan. No windows. Witnesses describe the atmosphere as heavy, not emotionally, but physically, as if sound does not travel normally, as if words fall short of the walls. The prayers begin quietly, not commanding, not confrontational. These exorcisms do not demand names. According to Vatican doctrine, names grant leverage. Midnight rituals deny it. In one recorded case, a priest broke protocol and spoke too loudly. The subject immediately sat upright and whispered, "You're early." The ritual was terminated. Another case ended when the subject began responding before questions were asked, completing prayers word for word in reverse order. That ritual was never resumed. What makes these exorcisms different is the ending. They do not aim for expulsion. They aim for suppression. Priests involved are instructed not to ask if the entity has left, only if the subject can remain stable until morning. If the answer is unclear, the case is suspended indefinitely. No declaration is made. No success is announced. The files are marked incomplete. Always stopping before sunrise, always restarting in silence. One archivist wrote a single sentence in the margin of a report. Darkness is not invited. It is accommodated. The Vatican has never denied the existence of these rituals. They simply refuse to discuss them. If stories like this hold your attention, you'll find links below to books, research materials, and items people often explore after learning about secret church rituals and forbidden history. Take a look and decide for yourself.